Okay, buckle up because today we're diving into a future exploding with AI and robotics. And let me tell you, from this mountain of articles you sent over, this goes way beyond robots taking our orders at the drive-thru. This is,
It really is. What we're looking at now goes so far beyond just, those futuristic gadgets we always see in movies.
Mhm.
This is about a total, complete transformation
Mm.
across every single part of our lives, really. It's less about robots actually doing things
Mhm.
and more about, like changing how we get things done, the
Mhm.
very fabric of how we work, what that even means in the future.
Mhm.
That's what this is all about.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
This one article, right, throws out this idea of superabundance, which honestly, at first I thought I was back in my college dorm, totally geeking out over some sci-fi novel.
Oh,
You
it's definitely a catchy term. But it's more than just a buzzword. Think of it like this. What if there was a world where, factories never closed, where production was never held back by, you know, things that humans need, like sleep or even lunch breaks?
Okay, so we're talking about a world where robots are just churning out everything like 24/7. What happens to the economy as we know it? Does everything just collapse if supply suddenly becomes basically infinite?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Imagine, you order something, right? And instead of waiting weeks for a package to, come all the way from overseas, boom, it's on your doorstep in, a matter of hours. Where clothes, they're made on demand, perfectly tailored to you.
Right.
And food scarcity, that's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Because we can grow crops anywhere, even in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
All year round.
Okay, you officially lost me at growing food in the desert. Is that even possible?
It's closer than you might think. One of these articles, it dives into this whole world of vertical farming and lab-grown meat. Imagine, we don't need these massive fields to feed the planet. Companies, they're already developing ways to grow crops vertically, these stacked layers, using way less water and land than, traditional
Hold
farms.
on, lab-grown meat, like from a petri dish. People are actually working on that.
It's not sci-fi anymore.
Yeah.
Companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods, they're already making these plant-based alternatives, and honestly, they taste incredibly close to the real thing. And then you've got these companies, they're pioneering this whole cellular agriculture movement. Basically, they're growing meat from animal cells. In a lab, yeah. It sounds crazy, but the implications, they're huge. Less land needed for livestock, which means, a way lower carbon footprint for food production.
Yeah.
And a potentially limitless source of protein.
My mind is officially blown. So robots are making our phones, they're growing our food. Is there anything they won't be doing?
Well, one area where AI and robotics are about to make a huge impact is energy. And I'm not just talking about, robots putting together solar panels, although that is happening too.
Yeah.
Think about this. You've got these AI algorithms, right? They can analyze tons of data. I'm talking everything from weather patterns to energy consumption, all in real time, which means we can optimize power grids like never before.
So instead of those rolling blackouts we keep hearing about, AI could actually make renewable energy sources like solar and wind more reliable.
Exactly. Imagine, your electric car just charges itself automatically at the perfect time. Energy's cheapest, cleanest. Or your house, it, anticipates your energy needs.
Yeah.
Based on your daily routine, make sure you have power when you need it, no waste.
That sounds shockingly cool. And speaking of things that are shockingly cool, one of these articles mentioned robots taking over shipping ports. Now, that's something I can get behind.
Yeah, it's a great example of how automation can completely change global trade. Those huge container ships that, transport everything all over the world. Imagine those ports operating 24/7, loading and unloading cargo crazy fast, super precisely, all thanks to these AI-powered cranes and autonomous vehicles.
That sounds incredibly efficient, but what happens to all the people who work in those ports?
That's the big question, right? And it's not just the dock workers. We're talking, as automation takes over more and more tasks,
Right.
from driving trucks to, manufacturing, you got to ask yourself, what happens to everyone who depends on those jobs?
So are we looking at, a jobs crisis? That's a little sobering, to say the least. One of these articles even mentioned universal basic income, it might be necessary. Is that really on the table?
It's an idea that's gaining traction, especially with economists and policymakers who are trying to figure out how to manage this massive shift, right, in the workforce.
Right.
Imagine a future where everyone just gets a guaranteed income from the government, whether or not they have a traditional job. It sounds kind of radical, but
Right.
It could be one way to make sure that the advancements in AI and automation, they benefit everybody, not just a select few.
Okay, I gotta admit, that does sound pretty radical. But I guess, like, if robots are doing most of the work, that changes the whole game, right?
It does. It really makes you wonder if we're not, tied to the traditional 9 to 5 anymore.
Yeah.
What happens to our sense of purpose,
Yeah.
our identity? Like, these are big
Yeah.
philosophical questions we're all going to have to deal with as we, enter this new world.
It's almost like we're looking in a funhouse mirror,
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we can kind of see the outlines of this incredible future where robots are handling so many of our needs, right? But the reflection, it's all warped and it's hard to make sense of it all.
I think that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. This isn't like some predetermined future we're all just watching happens. We have choices. We can, approach these advancements with a lot of fear, resistance even, or we can embrace the possibilities and actually try to, work together to make a future that benefits everyone.
So how do we even do that? Where do we begin?
Well, one really important thing is education.
Okay.
We need to make sure that future generations, they have the skills they need to actually thrive in this landscape. I'm talking about stuff like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, adaptability. Like, those things will be more important than ever.
So less about like memorizing facts and figures and more about learning how to learn.
Exactly, because the world is changing so fast.
Yeah.
And being able to adapt and learn new skills your whole life, that's going to be essential.
It's interesting you mentioned that because one of these articles pointed out that AI and automation, they could actually bring manufacturing back to developed countries. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Right now, most manufacturing is outsourced, right, to countries where labor is cheaper.
Right.
But as robots get more advanced and, honestly, more affordable, it could actually become cheaper to manufacture stuff closer to consumers, which could mean bringing manufacturing back to places like, the U.S. and Europe.
So more jobs coming back, that sounds like a win-win.
It could be, but it also highlights how important it is to retrain and upskill the workforce, you know, because the jobs of the future, they're going to require totally different skills than the jobs of the past.
Yeah.
So we got to be sure people are ready for that.
It sounds like a huge undertaking,
It
but also kind of exciting.
It is. And it's not just about, jobs and the economy. AI and robotics, they have the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, from climate change to diseases.
Okay, now that you mention it, I did see an article about how AI is being used to create new energy sources, renewables, right?
Exactly. AI is already helping optimize solar and wind power, making them way more efficient and cost-effective. And scientists are using AI to actually design the next generation of batteries, energy storage solutions that could completely change how we power, well, everything.
Wow, so we're potentially looking at a future where we're not just using less energy, but we're getting it in totally new ways.
Exactly. And it's not just energy. I mean, AI is being used to develop new drugs and therapies, create, personalized cancer treatments, even predict natural disasters before they happen.
This is incredible. It sounds like AI has the potential to not only change everything, but solve some of the biggest problems we face as humans.
It's a pretty incredible time to be alive, isn't it?
It really is. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bring us back to something we talked about earlier, and that's, the potential downsides of all this. What about the ethics of AI? We've all seen those sci-fi movies where the robots, take over.
Right, yeah. I get it, but I think it's important to remember AI is a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It all comes down to how we, choose to develop it, deploy it.
So it's not about being scared of the, robot apocalypse. It's about having those conversations and putting safeguards in place, making sure that AI is used responsibly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking about the tough questions, right?
Yeah.
About bias in algorithms, data privacy, the potential for AI to be used in ways that are, well, harmful.
This is a lot to take in.
It is.
It really feels like we're on the verge of a future that's both exhilarating and a little bit scary.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But the most important takeaway here, I think, is the future isn't something that's already written. It's something we create by the choices that we make, right now.
So what can we, as individuals even do to make sure we're shaping the future in a positive way? It feels like we've, opened this whole hidden door and it's moving a million miles an hour. What can any of us even do?
It's a big question. And it's something I think about a lot, too. And it could feel overwhelming, when you start to think about it. But knowledge is power, right? Just the fact that we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
That you did the work and you dove into all this stuff. That's a step.
Yeah.
That's a step in the right direction.
So more deep dives. Got it. No, but seriously, besides just trying to keep up with it all, what can the average person really do to make sure AI is a force for good out there?
Well, I mean, first of all, stay informed,
Yeah.
right? The more you understand about AI, how it works, what it can do, the better equipped you'll be to actually have those conversations, advocate for ethical AI and all that, and
Honestly.
support the companies, the organizations that are trying to do it right, the ones committed to ethical AI. And honestly,
Yeah.
don't underestimate the power of just talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
With your friends, your family, even your elected officials. The future of AI. It's not a spectator sport. It's something we're all a part of.
Yeah.
Wow. You've given me a lot to think about, that's for sure. I mean, we've covered so much today, from lab-grown meat to robot-run ports to the possibility of a world without even jobs. It's a lot. So if you had to leave our listeners with just one mind-blowing thought, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Think about this. What does it even mean to be human in a world that's increasingly shaped by AI? It's a question philosophers have been asking forever, right? But it's definitely got new weight to it now in the 21st century. As we create these machines that can, in some ways, outthink us, it makes you really re-examine what makes us unique, right? Things like creativity, empathy, moral reasoning. It's humbling, but it's inspiring too.
Wow. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be chewing on that one for a while.
Me too. Me too. But that's what's so great about these deep dives, right? It's not about having all the answers. It's more about just asking the right questions.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us for this incredible journey into the future of AI and robotics. It's a future that is, like we said, full of possibility, and it's up to all of us to shape it. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep asking those big questions.